Senior White House officials and GOP congressional leaders have apparently reached a deal that would fund government operations for 2 years, while significantly raising spending on both defense and non-defense the side of things, and also making a number of other smaller changes, which we're going to talk about. Now, this is not guaranteed. They haven't already voted. It's expected that they might vote as soon as tomorrow night, perhaps slipping it in during the GOP debate. But a deal was reached last night, and we're going to go over a number of the different stipulations that are supposedly in the deal, although we don't know for sure just yet. So the deal would extend the debt ceiling to March 2017 and bust budget limits set by a 2011 agreement that imposed a decade of reduced spending known as sequestration on the government. It would raise those caps by a total of $112 billion in fiscal 2016 and 2017. Those funds would be divided equally between defense and non-defense spending, which is nice. You don't often see that, actually. The deal would also restructure benefits for Social Security disability insurance. Restructure, I'm sure, means make stronger. Yes. I have a feeling.
Restructure meaning to build it up and expand it.
Exactly.
Because it's been proven it helps the economy, it reduces poverty, and it's a win-win.
It's a win-win for everybody.
So what do they mean by that?
Well, it's restructuring like how when they have an old building, they blow it up.
Oh, that kind of restructuring?
It's a different structure. It used to be a structure, now it's a different
one. And then they build this one smaller?
A smaller one, if at all.
If at all.
No, it's not that bad, but they are going to, we're going to go over in just a little bit some of the payment cuts that are going to happen to Medicare specifically as well. Now, we do want to talk, though, about the debt ceiling, because that's the big picture thing here. The House, the Freedom Caucus, and a number of other Republicans saying that they would not raise the debt ceiling unless they were able to destroy Planned Parenthood or
Obamacare,
kill every Muslim, or just they had a bunch of different stipulations that they would not raise the debt ceiling unless they did that. So effectively, raising that debt ceiling was seen prior to this deal, and possibly stopping it from actually becoming a deal. It was seen as a political poison for many Republicans who have argued for deep spending cuts to be linked to any hike in the nation's borrowing limit. Instead, the emerging deal would break the sequester and increase spending. So they say that, no, you can't just keep on going spending unlimited amounts of money by raising the debt ceiling, all that extra spending that you're having. Well, don't buy into the propaganda. Don't buy the hype. It does not actually imply additional spending. Raising the debt ceiling allows the United States government to borrow funds that cover the obligations the government has already incurred. It doesn't by itself prompt any new spending, and Congress and the president must separately sign off on any new federal spending commitments. Put simply, the United States has chosen to divorce spending and financing decisions. So raising the debt ceiling does not and never means actually spending more money immediately. And if there is more spending afterwards, in this case, it's going to be as much on the GOP as it is on the White House.
So there's so many things I want to talk about, but I could talk about this for the whole hour. But I think there's a couple of questions here. So Barack Obama has just been itching to cut Social Security and Medicare since he became president. That's his for some reason, to a corporate Democrat, shitting on social programs that are successful and work and aren't in debt. Because there's something about that if they cut them, that shows how serious they are. If I'm willing to shit on my base and screw over really effective social programs, which are the hallmark of being a Democrat, if I cut those, then look how serious I am. I'm such a grown-up, I'm willing to do something that is a net negative to our country.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do something that is in the bad interest of workers, the middle class, the upper class, the lower, every class. Social Security and Medicare are good things for our economy, but for some reason, the right wing is against all those things because they hate government, except when it's giving oil subsidies or trillion-dollar wars or billion-dollar or prison construction.
Yeah.
Then they're all for it, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to spend money that actually helps people, they're against it. So Barack Obama has been dying, just itching to cut Social Security and Medicare, and he did it. He did it. They're going to get it through on this budget deal. And why would Barack Obama want to make a 2-year budget deal right before the election, the 2016 election? Because a government shutdown favors the Democrats.
Yes.
So if there was a government shutdown, this would help the Democrats. So it's in John Boehner and Mitch McConnell's interest to get this budget deal, a 2-year budget deal done, so they can then shield the American public from the crazies, which are the Freedom Party, right? Because they're the ones, the tail is wagging the dog. So right now, if Boehner could get this deal done on the way out, Paul Ryan doesn't have to take heat for it, right? Barack Obama gets his wish, his wet dream, which is to cut Social Security and Medicare. So now he can seem like he's bipartisan, even though he's been pushing nothing but Republican programs anyway. So that's what this is, a real shitty deal. It exposes why we need Bernie Sanders. It exposes what's wrong with the Democrats. It exposes what's wrong with our political process right now, because nobody, no Democrats and no Republicans who aren't politicians want to cut Social Security.
Yeah, the Republicans, other than the Freedom Caucus, do not want these debates over raising the debt ceiling. They don't want them next year. And so this is disarming one of your chief tools, letting them go and look crazy in front of the American public. That's how you win elections these days. And they stop them from doing that.
This is almost as if Barack Obama decided to make sure there wasn't any Benghazi hearings. Right? It's like, no, that's your ace in the hole. No, let's get rid of it. Let's just get it. Why? So what is in? So that's
challenge mode activated. He wants a good challenge this election. Because he just destroyed the Republicans in the last one. The Dems did so well. Why not make it a little bit harder for them?
So why would he do this, Johnny? I mean, the only thing I can think of is because he really wants as his legacy that he wants to cut Social Security and Medicare, and he can point and say, look, I'm not a liberal. Just like news reporters, they're all afraid of being called a fucking liberal.
That might be it. I don't know that it's legacy focused, but I think that he genuinely wants it. I think.
Why does he want it, you think?
I think it's either he has he's obviously objectively surrounded himself with the sorts of Wall Street finance people who would say that these are good changes. And so either he has drunk the Kool-Aid, he buys in and actually believes it, and he's being entirely genuine, thinks it's better for the country, or it was the price that he had to pay for something else that he was either allowed to do or received financing for, or maybe they agreed to donate more to Democrats in the past. Obviously, this is something that he continues to go back to. That's how you know it's so important. It's that usually they push for immigration reform. It doesn't go anywhere. They stop talking about it for 3 years. But this comes up every year. Every time there's something having to do with the budget, it comes back up. And that means that they're serious about it. And you also know that they know it's unpopular because both sides, Barack Obama and the Republicans, every opportunity will attack the other side as wanting to cut Social Security and Medicaid.
Yes.
And then as soon as the cameras are off of them, they go to try to cut it.
They both try to cut it.
They know people don't want it. That's why they use it in attack ads. So it is incredibly frustrating. I think that he has surrounded himself with people that want it, and so he's going to give it to them.
So again, you saw how they even used him cutting Medicare, and Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney used it against him. That he took he stole $700 billion, which he kind of did an accounting trick and did take money from Medicare, right? He actually did do it. Of course, what they wanted to do was much worse. They wanted to privatize Medicare, but then he gives this issue again. Democrats, they handed it on a platter. It took Donald Trump to remind everybody that President Bush was president during 9/11, right? Democrats should have been screaming that ever since 9/12 that he was the president. They haven't done it. So again, they're handed an issue, saving Social Security and Medicare. Everybody's for it, and they just give it away.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
And that's why there's a Bernie Sanders, and that's why, Eric Boiler or whatever from Media Matters, that guy, I follow him on Twitter. And he's always tweeting these pro-Hillary things, right? About, because the Sanders people walked out of a Hillary meeting and whatever, and he's like, oh, they're supposed to be nice to her. And so my thing was,
I'm like trying to get her elected.
Like I just tweeted him, I go, hey, I like you and I like the work you do. But other than the ability to win, what do you like about Hillary Clinton? She doesn't do anything progressive until all the other progressives have done it. And people say, well, what is the big deal about that? She wasn't for gay rights until later. Because the next issue, she's going to be behind the curve on that fucking issue.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got talking about, because this is the wrong thing, the wrong kind of Democrats.
It's indicative of their terrible strategy.
Again,
it's amazing that the party has lasted as long as it has.
It's just,
as inept as it is.
I used to say this, that the best thing the Democrats have going for them is that the Republicans are their opponents. But it goes both ways.
Yeah,
I mean, the Republicans, if the Democrats had 1/10 of the organizing or the messaging that the Republicans had, or the willingness to message, Democrats don't even have the willingness, right?
Yeah.
If they had 1/10 of it, they could wipe them out.
Yeah.
This is really
sensitive,
disgusting.
because
This sounds
I
like a good
tweeted
deal.
earlier,
This will be couched on the major mainstream news as a good deal.
Yeah, it's
Look, they work
bipartisan.
together. It's bipartisan. The part they're going to leave out is that in the middle of booming economic times, right? Corporations making record profits. What is it? Wall Street is at record levels. Even during boom times, we got to cut Social Security and Medicare. Hey, you remember when there was a market crash? We had to cut Social Security and Medicare. Now there's
because
boom
times were tough.
Times were tough.
But now times are good, so we have to.
Now we got to cut Social Security and Medicare.
Well, yeah, that makes
when
sense.
When things are good, you cut Social Security and Medicare.
If it's bipartisan, I think it's fine. I once I was at a baseball game. I was at Yankee Stadium, and I got pickpocketed by 2 different people at the same time.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's okay then. What's the problem, really?
That's a good.
It's bipartisan.